buckle up because today we're diving into the world of Spanx.
Spanx, huh?
Yeah, Spanx. We're talking about Sara Blakely, the woman who took a simple idea and turned it into a $1 million empire.
You know, when you think about it, it's kind of amazing
What's that?
how one woman saw a need, a real problem women faced, and just went for it.
You're talking about the whole shapewear revolution.
Exactly. I mean, before Blakely came along, what did we even have?
Girdles?
Don't even get me started on girdles. Talk about uncomfortable.
And the worst part, they didn't even really work that well.
And don't forget about those dreaded panty lines.
Yes, the eternal struggle for a smooth silhouette.
Which brings us to Blakely's aha moment, standing in her closet, frustrated with her white pants, and bam, the idea for Spanx is born.
You know, that story always makes me smile. It's so simple, yet so brilliant.
Cutting the feet off pantyhose. Who would have thought?
But that's just it, right? The best ideas often seem so obvious in hindsight.
It's like, why didn't I think of that? Well, she did. And she
Right.
turned that simple idea into a global phenomenon.
Though it wasn't exactly a walk in the park, was it? I mean, the fashion industry, especially back then,
Talk about a tough crowd.
not exactly known for embracing outsiders, let alone someone with, shall we say, an unconventional path.
Well, let's just say Blakely's story is anything but ordinary. I mean, failing the LSAT, not once, but twice.
That's got to make you rethink your career choices.
Yeah.
But then she ends up rocking a giant goofy costume at Disney World.
Only Sara Blakely.
There's a certain fearlessness there, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And maybe a little bit of, I'll try anything once.
Which honestly might have been the perfect training ground for what came next.
You're talking about the fax machine years.
Oh yeah, selling fax machines door to door.
Talk about a masterclass in rejection.
Seriously, that's gotta be tough.
Day in, day out, hearing no over and over again. But you know what?
What's that?
Blakely didn't just survive those years.
Yeah.
She thrived.
It's like she had this inner drive that just wouldn't quit.
And think about it. Those years taught her some invaluable lessons.
Like what?
How to handle rejection, how to hone her pitch, how to really sell an idea.
Skills that would come in handy when she finally took Spanx to market.
Oh, absolutely. Because, let's be real, convincing manufacturers to take a chance on a product like Spanx, that took some serious persuasion.
Especially with, what was it, $5,000 to her name?
$5,000 and a whole lot of belief in herself.
Talk about bootstrapping. Packaging orders from her apartment.
Now that's dedication.
And smart, too. She even trademarked the name Spanx herself,
She knew exactly what she was doing.
creating a brand that was fun, a little bit cheeky, and totally memorable.
And let's not forget about that iconic phone call.
You mean the one to Neiman Marcus?
The one and only. Most people would never even dream of cold calling a luxury retailer like that.
But Blakely, she's not afraid of a little risk, is she?
Right.
I mean, talk about a power move.
And the best part, it worked. She landed that meeting, but then, well, let's just say the buyer wasn't exactly sold on the idea, at least not at first.
So what did she do?
She improvised, took the buyer to the ladies' room for a little demonstration.
No way.
Right then and there, she modeled Spanx, showing exactly how they worked. Talk about a hands-on approach.
You've got to admire that kind of hustle.
And it paid off.
Yeah.
The buyer was convinced, and soon enough, Spanx were flying off the shelves at Neiman Marcus.
I bet. From there, it seems like things just exploded for Blakely.
It's true. Spanx quickly went from a little-known secret to a cultural phenomenon.
What do you think it was about Spanx that really resonated with women?
Timing definitely played a part. This was the late 90s, early 2000s, a time when women were craving something different, something that made them feel good, not constricted.
It was like Spanx was this perfect blend of function and fashion.
Exactly. They weren't your grandmother's girdles. They were modern, they were comfortable, and they actually worked. But let's not forget, there was another key ingredient in the Spanx success story.
Let me guess, you're talking about Oprah.
Had to be Oprah. Getting featured on Oprah's favorite things list was like winning the entrepreneurial lottery.
It was huge. I mean, Oprah was, and still is, such a powerful voice.
And it wasn't just a celebrity endorsement. Oprah genuinely loved Spanx. She wore them herself. And that authenticity shone through.
It definitely gave Spanx instant credibility, like, if it's good enough for Oprah, it's good enough for me.
Right. And Blakely was smart. She capitalized on that momentum, expanded the product line, offered more sizes, more styles. She listened to her customers.
And she made sure Spanx were accessible. Remember the Assets by Sara Blakely line she launched with Target?
Genius move. It brought Spanx to a whole new audience, made it even more mainstream.
She really did change the game when it came to shapewear and even the business world.
Absolutely. She always said that men had been designing women's undergarments for far too long.
And not doing a very good job of it, some might say.
Exactly. Blakely saw an opportunity to design for women, by a woman, and it resonated.
And she didn't just stop at designing. She became a champion for women in business, mentoring female entrepreneurs, investing in women-led companies.
She's a true inspiration, proving that success is so much sweeter when you're lifting others up along the way.
Speaking of success, there's one question that's been on everyone's mind for years. Will there ever be a Spanx for men? Right. It's the question on everyone's mind. Will she, won't she?
It's a tough one, isn't it? On the one hand, it seems like a no-brainer. Men like to look and feel good, too.
Exactly. And they deserve comfortable undergarments, too. But on the other hand, Spanx has always been about empowering women.
You've got a point there. It's a very different market, a different kind of messaging.
And let's be real, men haven't exactly been clamoring for shapewear.
True, but remember that line she launched a while back?
You mean Spanx for men?
Yeah, the compression undershirts. Remember those?
Oh, yeah. Didn't they kind of fizzle out, though?
They did. Maybe that tells us something. Maybe Blakely's not interested in just slapping her logo on anything. She's always been very strategic, very deliberate with her brand.
So maybe Spanx for men doesn't quite fit into that vision.
It's possible. Or maybe she's just biding her time, waiting for the right moment.
She does have a knack for knowing when to make a move.
That she does. And you know what? Maybe her focus right now is exactly where it needs to be.
On continuing to innovate and empower women.
Exactly. There's still so much potential there, so many underserved customers.
And let's be real, the world needs more women. Like Sara Blakely leading the charge, breaking down barriers.
Couldn't agree more. She's an inspiration to us all, proving that a little bit of hustle, a lot of passion, and a really good idea can take you a long way.
From cutting up pantyhose in her apartment to building a billion-dollar empire, Sara Blakely's story is proof that you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
You just have to be willing to take that first step, that first leap of faith.
And maybe even embrace a few no's along the way.
Absolutely, because sometimes no just means not yet. And that's our deep dive on Sara Blakely, the woman who revolutionized the way we think about shapewear, about entrepreneurship, and about what it means to truly bet on yourself.